Let's look at the PRWC question from Media Exam Paper 2. So, JYSS Secondary School will be publishing an anniversary magazine, and the following requirements must be strictly adhered to. The magazine will have at least 100 black and white pages. The magazine must have as many colored pages as possible. Budget allocated is 8,400 for 1,400 copies of magazines. And we want to use medium to high grade quality paper. So we do want to take note that these are requirements that we want to follow. The next part of the question gives us the unit prices for the related printing items. So there are 3 items that we can look at. One is the format. So either standard paperback or standard hardcover with different unit costs. The second part is the paper. We can have low grade everyday photocopying paper, black and white rate, and colored rates are different. Now do note that the unit cost when we say black and white and colored paper would also refer to one sheet of paper. The third related item would be the binding. Do we want perfect binding for paperback or the adhesive case binding for hardcover at different unit costs? Okay, so you do see that there is also a correspondence. So if we are using paperback for the format, then the binding will have to correspond. If we are using the hardcover, then the binding will also have to correspond accordingly. And the unit cost for the format and the binding would be for one magazine. Now, part A wants us to find the cost of producing a copy of 120-page black and white magazine with low-grade paper, standard paperback, and with binding. So we will have to get the information from the table. So I want low-grade paper, and it's supposed to be black and white. Okay, and I have 120 pages of it. They want standard paperback and the binding. So I have to choose the paperback binding. This will give me the cost of producing one of this magazine. So writing down the cost, it will cost me $4.30 per copy of such a magazine. Let's go on to look at part B. Part B says that if the school selects a hardcover with high-grade quality paper, we have to find the maximum number of colored pages per magazine that can be printed within the budget. So there are quite a few things going on here. They want a hardcover. They want high-grade quality paper now. They want the maximum number of colored pages per magazine that can be printed within the budget. So quite a few things. We will have to now go back to the table to look for the corresponding costs. For the hardcover, there are 2 costs involved. One is the format, the cover, and 2 is the binding. So for the hardcover itself, it will cost me $260 for the format, plus another $140 for the binding. Okay, then now I have to look at the paper. So the minimum requirement that we need is 100 pages of black and white pages. So for the paper itself, I will choose 100 copies of high grade quality paper. So high grade quality paper would cost slightly more than the low grade one. So this is the cost for the paper. And then it has to be within budget. So the budget per copy of the magazine is actually 8,400 divided by 1,400 copies. Okay, so I need to work out all this. Okay, so the total cost of just 100 pages of black and white paper plus the hardcover will cost me $5.90, while the budget is actually $6. So the money left, the budget left for your colored pages would only be 10 cents. So I actually have 10 cents. Okay, so if I'm printing on high grade quality paper, I will actually have 10 cents divided by the unit cost of one piece of colored high grade quality paper. So this will actually give me 1.2821. Okay, but I have to unfortunately round down because I do not have enough budget to print 2 pages of colored paper. So my answer for this would be maximum of 1 page of colored paper if I were to choose the hardcover and high grade quality paper. Let's go on to part C. Part C asks us to make a proposal to the school with the items you will recommend: the cover, the paper, the binding. Okay, so the 3 parts based on the table and the information above. We want to show the total printing cost for the selected items for the production of the magazines, and we need to justify the decisions and to make and to show our calculations clearly. Now, after going through these 2 parts, okay, part A and part B, we do see that it's quite costly if we choose the hardcover. Just the binding and format alone will cost us $4. Whereas if you compare in part A, if I were to choose the paperback, okay, the paperback, binding and cover will only cost us $2.50, which will actually give us a bit more budget to work with based on part B. Okay, so if I chose the paperback, it will be cheaper. I have more money to print more colored pages. Okay, so for this, I am going to choose the paperback instead of the hardcover. So I write down the choice of using a paperback and the cost being $2.50. Then the second requirement would be the 100 black and white pages. And because the school requires medium to high grade quality paper, however, the medium grade paper is not available here. We only have low grade and high grade paper. So we definitely have to choose the high grade quality paper. So that will cost us $1.90 per copy. Now once we have this, it will be very similar to part B, where my budget is actually only $6. So the high quality colored pages will be dependent on that. So I actually can print 20 color pages such that I spend within the budget. Now that we have written down all the recommendations that we will make, let's finish it up by calculating the total printing cost to show that it is within the $8,400. So the total cost will be $8,344, which is within the budget of $8,400. So these are my recommendations for the magazine. We will use a paper bag, 100 black and white pages using high grade quality paper, 20 pages of colored paper, and then it will give us a total cost of this.